And today we are going to take a look at a little program we call MIDS. MIDS is essentially a fairly sophisticated build planner for the City of Heroes game. As you can see, it's taking a little time to load up here. This is MIDS version 9.5. Not sure of the exact subversion. I think it's like 9.51 or 9.52. Hold on, let's see. Help and support about 9.52. Hey, hey, ho, ho. Alright. So, in here, we have your basic options for selecting your archetype. We have your options for your origin. We have your options for primary and secondary power sets, which are the ones you start out with. And then later on you can add ancillary power sets. Fitness is listed in here by default because you can still essentially plan out a pre-inherent fitness character just to see what it looks like, and so it will accept exports from the game of pre-inherent fitness characters so they can be worked on to be respec'd later on. Now, essentially you just go in and select your archetype. You can select your origin. Go ahead and grab a primary. Go ahead and grab a secondary. From here, you can begin clicking on which powers, and it will add them into the first level where they would be available at that is not already filled. So, if I click, resist physical damage, it fills it in. It also will automatically grab the first power of the secondary set as well. And then you can just sit there and select them at random, grab your ancillaries and all that other nifty stuff. Also, if you decide that you want to pick a power out of order, what it will do is, say we take Foot Stomp, goes ahead and dumps it right out here in the first level where it would be available at. Now, from here, you have your enhancement slots. You just go ahead and left click to add the slots. If you want to remove them, you hit shift and then left click again, and it will remove them. And they have up to 6 slots per power. So, now, to actually fill them, go in here, you right click, and you have the option for this, which is essentially it will clear the slot. You have your regular enhancements, which include training origins, dual origins, and single origins. You have your generic IOs, and it will only display to you the ones that will actually go into the slot. You can't sit there and take a resist power and throw a defense IO in there or anything like that. From there, you go up to Hamadon or non-specific origins specials, which include Titan origins from the Eden trial, Hydra origins from the Sewer trial, and Hamadon origins or synthetic Hamadon origins, which come from the Hamadon raids and or the Lord Recluse Strike Force and Statesman Task Force. Finally, you have your sets of inventions. Basically, each of the sets will have multiple pieces in it, and it will, if you just hover over it, it will show you how many pieces are in the set, and will give you these set bonuses based on how many pieces you have in the set. So if we have reactive armor here and we have 4 pieces, we would get the Mes Resist, we would get the 1.25% defense, or if we're on a build that's using positional defenses rather than type defenses, we'd get the 0.63 range defense. And then we'd also get the 1.25% defense for smashing and lethal. And again, if we were on a positional defense character, it would be 0.63% to melee. So you can just go ahead and click on it, and you'll drop into the section where you have the individual enhancements. You simply pick the first one that you want to put in. Then what you can do is just click. It's basically middle click or click on your scroll wheel to fill in the the subsequent IOs in the set. Basically, if you take the last one in the set, it will always start out with the first one listed and continue going on. Additionally, if you have multiple sets, or if you have powers that take the same set, what you can do is you can simply go ahead and click on the next power, middle click on the next power, and it will continue filling them in there. Now, they won't always necessarily be the specific ones that you want to put in there, so in some cases you will have to go back in and re-edit which ones you want to add. Now, down here in the lower left, you have your basic power description. You can basically see it by what you're hovering over, or what it last hovered over. And it will give you, the basic description. Oh, also, if you want to sit there and stay on a power without having to, pull off of it, what you can do, because if, as you see, as I'm pulling it down, it flips to each power it hovers over. If you want to stop that behavior, just right click. You'll see it locks. And this way you can go ahead and see, various aspects of the power, like how much resistance it's delivering, resistance effects, and duration. Duration for things like resist physical damage are more or less pointless because they're always on. And then just to unlock it, you can right click. Actually, no, you can't. Just click, left click that is, unlock, and it unlocks it. Now, for powers like Haymaker, attacks, you'll see endurance cost, how fast it recharges, range, the time it takes to actually cast it, that's the animation time, the base accuracy, and duration and radius. Basically, we'll just add some enhancements in here so that you can see how this changes then. You'll see under endurance costs, it shows you the power's current endurance costs, and then in brackets it shows you the unmodified endurance cost, the original. For recharge, the same, accuracy as well. Now, in addition, you can sit there and click on effects, and it will tell you what additional effects there are. Like, there is a 0.67% chance, or there's a mag 0.67 knockback on there. Basically, that means that there's enough knockback that if you actually surpass somebody's knockback threshold, they'll fall down. They won't actually go flying. Now, if you're hitting something that's much lower level, the knockback magnitude is magnified by the differences between your level. Additionally, it also shows that you will be putting out a taunt with this. This is to cover the the gauntlet effect within the tank's powers. From there, we can go to totals, and it will show you your various defense levels. It'll show you your resistance levels. It'll show you your base recovery, endurance drain, you know, additional endurance reduction imposed by powers, your base regeneration or your modified regeneration, your to hit, which also amplifies your chance to actually strike something, and then your global recharge. Global recharge is separate from the recharge in your powers because it's a static value that is applied to everything that has any sort of recharge factor in the game, such as attacks, um, heals, mezzes, debuffs, all that sort of thing. From there, you have the enhanced screen, which basically just gives you a recap of your enhancement values. Okay. Additionally, you can sit here and opt to turn temp powers off or on. If you double click, it'll bring up the various temp powers that are available to you. You can select them if you wish, and then once you're done, click done. Incarnate powers function much the same way. For your alpha slot, which is basically like a global IO. Destiny, which is basically various barriers and fields and stuff. Judgment, which is basically a ranged attack for everyone. Interface, which is an aura that can debuff or buff certain things, or so on and so forth. And lore, which are pet powers. Accolades work much the same way as well. You can choose to turn them on or off with a single click. You can also sit here and choose between the hero and villain interface, the mode between PvE and PvP. As of right now, switching to PvP is still going to show you unmodified values for your PvE stuff, so it won't reflect your actual values in a PvP scenario. You can opt to turn recipes on or off, pop-ups on or off. Now up in the file menu, you have the options for a new character. You can open pre-existing ones. You can save as, you can print it out, you can quit. Now, there is also import from a forum post. You have the option to basically put this out into, a version that is viewable on various forums, mainly the City of Heroes forums themselves, and then other people can actually click on a link or grab a section of hex code text that will, allow their copy of mids to basically rebuild your entire build, and you have the option to, tell what colors there are and what type of forum you're exporting to. You can say export the data chunk if creating the data link isn't possible. If for some reason you have some customized tweak within yours for a bogus power or something, the data link may or may not work. You can also say just export the data chunk. The data chunk is that block of hex code text that I was talking about. You can also say export the data chunk as well as the data link, because the data link is essentially just a hyperlink that has all the information necessary to bring up your build. You can tell it whether or not you want to export the IO sets, the levels, whether you want to export enhancements at all, show the bonuses and breakdowns. Oh, that's one other thing. Let's cancel that. One thing you can do is you can sit there and modify the level of your enhancements in various ways. First one is just simply go into the enhancement screen and change the level. Oh, actually, let's clear it out. Go in 34. Boom. And there you go. Now, under options, actually, you can set all IOs, under slots and enhancements, you can also set all IOs to a default of 50 or their maximum value, because basically reactive armor caps out at 40, Makos cap out at 50, and so on and so forth. You can also set them to their minimum value in these various cases. You can tell it again their maximum value. So if they have all sorts of different maximums, they'll just pop to whatever the maximum is. You can also set all enhancement origins to single origin, dual origin, or training origin. You can also set relative levels. Even level basically means that it is what you set here. Because there are enhancement boosters in the game now. Basically, all enhancements can take +1, +2, +3, +4, and +5. You can also sit there and do minus levels as well, so you can see how the build would exempt down. And you'll see what the values are for slots. You can flip all to alternate. You can clear all enhancement slots. You can actually just remove the slots. You can auto arrange all the slots as well. Basically, under options, you have your basic configuration. You can set to even levels or the plus whatever levels, minus whatever. You can set your default IO level in here. So if you want everything to come in at level 35, you can do so. You can set the size and colors of your fonts, use high visibility, all that nifty stuff. You can, change how it displays various things. Right now it's just showing average damage rather than maximum possible, or just ignoring it and showing minimum damage. And all this other stuff in here. Suppression is basically for things like PvP and for some other things where certain values will get suppressed temporarily. You can also sit there and fiddle with exemplar level, your base to hit values, etc. Again, you can also alter your color schemes, your update paths, tell it to check for updates, nifty stuff like that. Change your drag and drop behaviors and all that other stuff. Tell it to check. You can tell it to switch over to level up mode, which works a little different. Basically, level up mode forces you to pick powers in order rather than dynamic mode. Cancel that. And there's advanced where you can go in and reset tips. You can fiddle with the database if you really want. It's not recommended, but you can do it. You can also select how it displays the window itself. 4-column versus 3-column or single column, like so. You can show enhancement at relative levels, show slot placement, which will show you, place this at level 4, level 7, level 9, etc. Addition, you can show damage per activation, you can show damage per second, you can show damage per animation. There are different ways of looking at how you do damage over time in the game. On top of that, you have a couple of different sub-windows, like sets and bonuses. It'll tell you all your set bonuses from whatever, your breakdowns, and all that other stuff. Now, if for some reason we were to do something really dumb, like we'll take invincibility, tough hide, we've already got combat jumping, we'll just take leadership for maneuvers, we'll take concealment for the various invisibility parts. Now, within the game there is what is known as the rule of 5. Essentially it means you can have no more than 5 of a very specific enhancement type. So say we take the Luck of the Gambler global recharge boost. We take 3, 4, 5, and then look at the set bonus window. It'll tell us where we're getting them at. Now, if we take a 6th, we'll close this for a second, and then go back and look, it shows us that we are capped somewhere. It then comes in and shows us. And it'll usually take the very last instance of it in the build in numerical order. So that means we would have to get rid of one of that. Well, we don't have to get rid of it, but it's not doing you any good at this point. I have to shrink it so all that you see is this, or expand it. Tell it to stay on top. You also have your various power graphs, based on primary, secondary, all toggles, all clicks. You can base it on damage per animation per second, blah. Basically, lots of options. You have power set comparison. So you can sit there and basically compare between how you're doing against, somebody with dark armor or something else. The data view, which basically just gives you a straight text view of, all your powers and all that other stuff. So you can hover over it and see all of the information in there. You have advanced totals then, which will give you your defenses, resistances, regeneration. Basically everything that's on the total screen in here. Then you also get things in the miscellaneous buffs for run speed, jump speed, height, flight speed. You can select it in miles per hour, kilometers per hour, feet per second, meters per second, what have you. You can see PvP, stealth radiuses, and perception radiuses. Boosts, from various powers. Your basic threat level, which is determined by the amount of damage you're doing compared to everybody else, plus any other effects like Gauntlet for a tanker, taunting, that sort of thing. your global underdogs, global damage boosts, all that nifty stuff. And then your various forms of status protection, resistance, and debuff resistances. Okay, I think that's a fairly good overview of things right off the bat. Hopefully you found this interesting and didn't mind my rambling too much. And maybe I'll do something like this again. Great, bye.